Hi, thanks for joining me today on my Brandi Stamps YouTube channel. I'm Brandi Barnard from BrandiStamps.com, and today I'm going to show you 4 amazing cards that are all done with the Autumn Expressions stamp set from Stampin' Up. This video is actually part of my BrandiStamps Card Club, where I have members who receive a packet from me every month and they make 8 awesome cards every single time. So if you're a member of my card club, welcome! So excited to see you guys. We're gonna make our 8 cards here together, and I hope you're going to have an awesome time. If you're not in my card club yet, you're welcome to watch this video and just see the projects and get inspired. You're welcome to check out the link that's right in my description, which will walk you through how my BrandiStamps Card Club works. I would love to have you pop in and try it. This video is from our September 2024 card club, but I do this every single month and I take new members all the time. So you're welcome to click the link and get the details and let me know if you'd like to give it a try. Okay, are you guys ready to get started stamping? Let's go. Let's start by taking a look at everything my card club members received. The first thing is a little ID sheet, is what I call this. It kind of tells you what the card kit included, whatever other supplies you're going to need, and helps you identify which card kit you're looking at, just in case you didn't get to make them all right when they arrived. Now, the card kit always includes about $20 in product. So this time you received a quarter pack of the Nature's Sweetness Designer Series paper. This is a specialty paper with gold foil embellishments. It's really pretty. And so you get a quarter pack of that. This is a full pack of the Real Foiled Gems, and also a full pack of the woven golden leaves. So altogether, these 3 items are worth, I don't know, $21, $22. My card club members paid $34 for this kit. So 22 of it is product and the rest is the card kits themselves. So we've got 4 different kits. Here's 1, 2, 3, and 4. You can see that a lot of love and prep went into these. There are pieces of ribbon that are cut and prepared. There are die cuts sorted and ready to go. Each of these card kits is going to make one of our different card designs. But when you're all finished, you're going to have 8 cards total because you'll get to make 2 of each one of the designs, and they all come with envelopes as well. So a lot of prep has been done for you so that you are ready to create and have fun making some beautiful cards. I hope you guys feel like this is a great value. I enjoy preparing these for you, and I think you're getting a good deal, so I hope you think so too. One thing you're going to want to have on hand is the stamps, and I use a different stamp set each month. I always communicate which set it's going to be. If you want to, you can add it on and get it with your card kit. You can order this yourself if you're a demonstrator or from your own demonstrator, or you can use other stamps that you have on hand. I love it when you get the stamps off your shelf and get them inky and get creative with my card kits. This month we featured the Autumn Expressions stamp set. So every single one of the cards uses the stamps on this set. You won't need any other pieces, just this stamp set. So you'll want to pull that out and get it all onto its blocks and ready to go. The colors that I featured this month are Pecan Pie, Early Espresso, Shaded Spruce, and Bubble Bath. So you could pull out these exact same ink pads or just something similar. I've got a light and dark brown, a nice deep green, and a really light pink. So anything that's kind of along those lines will work. And then you are always going to want your basics, like your paper trimmer, some kind of adhesive for paper to paper. I like to use Seal Plus. Other favorite adhesives, I generally use the mini glue dots. And then I will often use Stampin' Dimensionals. Both the big and little ones are good to have on hand. You're also going to want to have your scissors handy to be able to complete these projects. Oh, and I also wanted to mention, this time I used a blue marker. This is my light boho blue Stampin' Blends, but any kind of a blue marker or even a colored pencil or something like that will be able to help you complete your projects. Here are all the pieces from card kit number 1. Now I've actually cut it in half here. I've only got the pieces to make 1 card, but if you're in the card club, you would be making 2 of every single design. Here I'll just walk you through making 1 of them. For this card, you'll want to pull out your Nature Sweetness paper and use your paper trimmer to cut a piece that is 4 by 2 3/4. So this is kind of the newsprint with a gold speckle. This is 2 3/4 tall and 4 inches wide. So you'll need 2 of these to be able to complete both your cards. So let's start with some of the stamping. I'm going to start by stamping Grateful for You right on the front of this designer series paper. I love stamping on designer series paper sometimes. It's just kind of a fun, different sort of a look. Now go to your early espresso pad and your scrap here of crumb cake and just stamp this little log piece. I also am going to stamp that one on my envelope. Now let's pull out the shaded spruce ink pad. We're going to stamp the words Dear Friend on this tiny little scrap. And we're going to end up cutting this out. So it doesn't matter if it's super straight, although mine looks amazing. Okay, and the other thing we're going to do is use the leaf and just kind of stamp all over the background of this shaded spruce layer. Only the top and bottom show. We're going to cover up the middle with our greeting piece. So you can stamp all over it if you want to, but I'm going to save a little effort and just stamp at the top and bottom. Okay. The stamping's all finished now, and I'm just going to do a little bit of cutting. I'll start by cutting out this little wood layer. And this one has a die cut that goes with it, but honestly, if you're cutting the die cut first and then stamping onto it, the edges are so kind of funny and rough. It was hard to figure out exactly which way to stamp the stamp. So I thought it was easier to cut around here, and it can just be a super loose kind of a jagged cut. And then on this one, we're going to cut this out too. Use your paper snips to go really quite close to the words Dear Friend and just kind of do straight lines-ish around here, really close to the words. Okay, now we're ready to do a little bit of assembly. I'm going to stick the little gold strip here to my word layer. And because it's just one little edge that I'm sticking, I'm going to use mini glue dots here. So I'll put one at each end and one right in the middle. It's kind of like that. See how they're toward the top of the gold strip? And then I will bring this to it. Just like that. We'll roll a little Seal Plus here and just kind of arrange this wherever you think it looks good. Mine was a tiny bit higher than center. Okay, now this layer is going to get a ribbon around it. So we'll go kind of right up here above the words. I've got this pecan stitched ribbon already cut for you. And we're going to tie a square knot. So put both your ends upwards so you can see which is which. I'm starting with the right one on top. We'll just let it jump under the bridge. Now let's put those ends up again. Left one goes on top the second time. And that just helps me make a square knot, which makes a really nice flat look here in the front center. And then it also makes those ends that just go outward like that. Use your best sharp scissors to get a nice trim on those. Let's go back to the accessories that were included with your kit, and we'll pull out one of the gold woven leaves. And then we're going to be using these dots too. Okay, so I'm going to grab my leaf and kind of decide how I want it here. And then I will use a Stampin' Dimensional kind of between those two layers to make sure that the leaf and the wood stick together. And then I'll put another Stampin' Dimensional that's off the leaf as well. Maybe one up here. Okay, and that's gonna go kind of right down here. Now this little dear friend is so small that we'll want to use mini glue dots for that, and you might even need to roll them just a little bit to get it to hide the glue from the edge. Let's kind of fold that back. And the dear friend is going to go right on the wood. I'll let it extend off just a little bit like that. This layer is going to be attached to the card with Seal Plus. And this is a basic beige card base, which is so nice because it's a neutral that kind of gives a place for the crumb cake and the vanilla here and this pecan pie stitching to just kind of all land together somewhere in the middle of all of that. And now we'll use a few of these little gems. I'll just pick these up with my paper snips, just kind of get it right on the tip there, and put these right where you think they look cute, somewhere around the words. They'll just kind of augment the gold splatter that's already there from the paper. Just a really pretty touch. And that is card number 1. Here are all the pieces for card number 2. Now this piece of designer paper, I have fussy cut this, so I purposely put it in my trimmer and tried to get about an equal distance on each side of this circle. You can see this is off just a little bit, but it'll still be cute. And so I'm going to first start with my boho blue Stampin' Blends marker. Wow, my brain. And I'm going to do a little bit of coloring. I'll color this little center. And also these kind of little buds that haven't opened yet. And actually, once that coloring is done, it looks almost like that was part of the designer paper from the beginning. So that was kind of a fun addition for this one, and it really ties in with the blue layers that we are going to use on the project too. So the other ink that we're going to use is the Pecan Pie. And we're going to want this stamp that says, "May the beauty of the season fill your heart with joy." Something like this, I'll always stamp it on my scratch paper first so I can get an idea for if it's straight and how high to place it, so I can stamp on a little strip like this. Okay. A cool effect that we're going to do on this one is on the boho blue layer. Just use the edge of your paper snips and kind of rough up the edge of the cardstock, and that'll give it kind of a really cool texture. Okay, there's my layer with all the cute rough edges. In your kit, you'll find one of these gold labels for each card, and you're just going to cut it in half. It doesn't matter if it's perfect, because this is going to be covered up. And this is going to glue to this layer poking out from behind so that on your card front, they don't go off the edge. Okay, so look at your little edge here on the corner of your die cut. I want you to look at the uppermost point right there, and that is going to line up 1 inch above the bottom of your card. So it goes right there. Okay, so let's lay that down. And then same thing on the other side. Now I'm going to roll a little bit of my Seal Plus here and here to kind of pick these up and get them right where I want them on the card piece. So let's lay this down like that. We'll pick those up. I'm going to scoot this one in just a little. Something like that. So now this piece has the gold pieces glued onto it and it's ready to go here. It's tricky to make sure that the little gold pieces don't stick out too far. So just make sure that you bump them in most of the way right there. Okay, let's go ahead and adhere our little flower layer to the center of the roughed up blue piece. Okay, now we're going to go to our little word piece here, and I'm going to trim just a slanted diagonal on the end there. And then I want the same matching look on the other side, so I'll pick up my little scrap and lay it on here, and I'll just follow that slant a second time. So I can get, you know, equal slantiness on both sides. And then we'll adhere with Seal Plus this to about the center. And this little strip is going to glue right across here and go out toward the edges. I'm going to wait and add that as a final touch though. Let's go ahead and take this piece and stick it onto the card front. This one has dimensionals, and if I'm ever gluing something additional onto the back, I'll use the dimensionals to help hold it. So these dimensionals will peel and glue it to the card, but they're also helping to hold those gold labels. Lay it down right about there. This is going to have seal. I want the ends of this to go right kind of where the divots on the label are so that they're hidden and it looks like that's a straight piece. Something like that. These ends kind of float loose. It adds to the charm of this card. And then we've got a white layer that'll just go on the inside. Let's add a few of our little blue gems. I didn't do any stamping on the inside of the card or on the envelope for this one. You could add that if you want to. And that is card number 2. Here are all the pieces for card number 3. And you're going to cut some designer paper. These pieces are 2 by 3, and you'll need 2 of them for each card. So here's that. And then we're using the pecan pie ink pad on this card. That's the only one you're going to need. So let's start with going to our little deckled edge circle, and we'll put our greeting. It says, "Have a perfectly lovely day." All inky. It fits really nicely on this little white deckled edge circle. And then we're going to use the leaf stamp. This is the same leaf that we've already used on our other cards, so make sure you wash it off. And we're stamping onto a die cut with a red rubber stamp. So it's actually not too hard to get it lined up and stamp it, but I'll show you a little trick. This is how I did mine. And I'm just going to flip the die cut over so I know it'll line up. And I've got my stamp all inked up, so I'm being careful that I'm not touching the stamp. I'm just laying it right on, lining it up with the image that's there. And then you can use another block, or I'm just using my ink pad to give it a little pressure so that it can stamp all over. We'll lift that up so that gives me the stamped image on my little cherry cobbler leaf. Now, while I have my leaf going, I'm going to do a little bit of stamping for the inside of my card, something like this. And then on my envelope. Okay. So that should be all of the stamping. Let's start thinking about how to assemble this. So here is my card base. It is the pecan pie color. And this is the piece for the inside, so I'll just adhere that. Perfect. Now this is the layer that goes on the front of the card. I'm going to, I guess it could go either way. I'm going to stick mine on this direction. I'm going to use some Seal Plus here. And then in the parts that have more bumpiness, more embossed area, I'm going to use a mini glue dot there. These are nice because they'll sink right down into the spaces of your embossed area. So I'll just kind of place one in that corner and one in that corner. They're also very sticky, so you just need a couple to hold it. And we will center this on the card front, just like that. Now these little designer papers are going to cover up your unembossed areas. So go to the upper left and lower right corners and just place it lined up with this. So we'll cover that right up. And this one as well. Okay. Now these are coming together just a little different in the middle, and that's fine because we're going to cover it. I'm laying down a little bit of Seal Plus right here, and that's where I'm going to arrange my twine. So I've got my fingernail here and I'm just scraping it along the ribbon, and that helped it go from being kind of kinky and wound up from being on the roll to being a little bit more straight and relaxed. And that way I can get this to lay the way I want it to. So I want to start with an end down here and come up and loop. These loops should come out pretty far onto your card front because the circle that's going to go in the middle is quite large. So let's just go back and forth. And this is pretty easy to like pull it back up and rearrange it if you don't like how it landed or whatever. But something like this. And once you've got that the way you want it and it's kind of glued in place, then you'll take a couple of Stampin' Dimensionals and let's just cover the linen thread right here. So I'm holding it down extra with these. And then we will adhere these two layers. Just two different sizes of the deckled edge circle. Flip to the back of this, and I'm going to put these on the way outer edges because I've already got some here for the middle. Get all the dimensionals peeled, and then you are ready to kind of bring this together and place the greeting over the center here. Okay, now I grabbed a couple of the smaller of the mesh leaves here. I'm going to place a glue dot between the two so that they'll kind of hold on to each other right there. And then I'm also placing this little cut leaf with them. Put another glue dot for that. Okay, and then we can place the whole thing just right down here, kind of coming off your greeting. And then a few of our, this kind of deep brownish reddish color, so it's perfect for this card. Just throw a few of these on. I've used 3 again. And that is card number 3. Okay, here are the pieces for card number 4. This is the designer paper you'll be cutting. It has a really fine script, so kind of make sure you're cutting it so the words will be upright. And this piece is cut to be 4 by 2 3/4. And the 2 3/4 is the width. I love this paper. This gray with the gold leafing on it is just, oh, it's so pretty, and it looks really good with this moody mauve that we're going to use. So let's start with the Bubble Bath ink pad. And there's this cute little, it's kind of like wheat sprigs that are here in the stamp set. This is the piece that goes on the inside of the card, but because it's just, it closes halfway, this part's gonna show. So we're going to put some of this wheat kind of in the bottom right corner on the card front there. And then some on the envelope too, just for fun. Okay, now we'll pull out the early espresso ink pad, and this one is going to say change can be beautiful. So this could be really any time that someone has a big life event going on. And then we're going to add one tiny little greeting. It says, "You've got this," and it'll go just kind of where the wheat is on the stems here. I'm going to stamp it on my scratch paper so I know how I've got it. Oh, I need to tilt it. See how I know I need to tilt the Y down pretty far? So when I come over here to stamp, I'll do that. I end up getting it almost perfect. Okay, let's do a little bit of assembly. I'll take my inside piece. This little card, the fold goes off to the left side so that when we put this together, this shows on the outside. This layer is going to get adhered to our cute little flap, just like that. Okay, this label's going to go on the front, but it'll have a couple of these little leaves on it. I want one of them to go pretty far out, so let's use a glue dot. Put it on the very edge of this mesh leaf. And place it right about like that. And then the other one, I'll tuck it in a little bit more. Something like this, so it looks a little shorter. Again, with a mini glue dot. And that. Okay, now this little guy is going to tuck right in here, kind of in the front. And so again, I'll get a mini glue dot just on the stem here, right at the edge. Should have maybe done this in opposite order. So when you do yours, go gold leaf, gold die cut, then each of the gold leaves. So gold die cut, gold leaf, just like that. So they're all kind of poking out from behind there. And now let's get a good amount of seal all around here to help hold it. I only want adhesive on half of this die cut because the rest is going to be exposed and you don't want to glue your card shut. I'm also putting a couple of mini glue dots just kind of around these extra pieces to help hold them. Okay, that should be really good. And now we'll just arrange this so we like how it looks. And stick this down really well. Now there are two ways you can do the bow. You can just tie an air bow and then roll up a mini glue dot and stick it on the front here. Or I'm just going to slide right back in here and tie it around the stem of my little fern piece. So that gives me a place to tie it where it's actually attached and I won't have that mini glue dot that's kind of sticking to things. I just tied a regular kind of a shoelace bow there. And I don't tighten up the bow at all until I have it little and I've got it kind of about where I want it. Then I tighten it up. If you tighten it sooner, sometimes it'll, as you try to shrink the loops and stuff, it'll really curl up and go kind of wonky. So you don't want that. Just trim these ends off. And then once again with the 3 little dots, we're very consistent on this, putting 3 cute little colored dots on every single card. We got to use all 4 of the colors. They matched our array of cards perfectly. And that is it. That is card number 4. Let's bring all 4 of the cards that we just made into the shot here so that we can admire them as a group. Of course, my club members, you'll be making 2 of every single card, so you'll have 8 awesome fall cards to send out to people and encourage and uplift them. If you're not a member of my card club, I'd love to have you join. Just click the link that's right there in my description, or you're welcome to be inspired or copy the designs that I've used here. And make sure you're subscribed to my channel so you don't miss all the creative fun. Have a great day. Thanks, you guys.